Hi friends, I have this paper pad and I bought it a while back and I've been using it a little bit here and a little bit there, and then I used a pretty good amount of it recently making a journal, and these were the offcuts. So I thought I'd go ahead and smash the rest of this paper pad. So I want to show you what we have left. There's not that much left actually. We have two of these big ones. These are kind of hard to work with because, you know, the sayings take up the whole page. And then we have these, which are great for belly bands and things, but we're not going to be doing journals today. We're going to use the offcuts to, I think let's make tags. So we'll use that for tags. And then we have another big one, but this one will be okay to work with. This shouldn't be too hard. Oh yeah, and then we have these 6x6s, so I'll have to see what I feel like making with those. And I think there's two of those. Oh no, there's not, there's just one. So we have some wood. Oh yeah, and then we have these nice little cut-aparts. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, and then we have this page. And then that's it, guys. So I'm gonna think about this, but I'm thinking tags today. So I don't know if you guys remember, but a while back in one of my Discoveries in Mixed Media videos, I stiffened some fabric. And so I haven't been playing around with it much. It's been in a pile on my desk. So I thought if I can get it to work, I would like to try to use up some of these pieces. Like something like that would look great. It wouldn't match all the pieces because some of the fabric is really bright and those can go aside. But if I can work some of this in, I know that this will be super easy to work in. But if I can work some of this in, that would be nice. Some of these might be too bright. Oh, but look at that. That's not too bright at all. It's got some fingerprints on it. I wonder what I was doing. But anyway, so the light colored ones will be fine. Oh, even these with the little tiny pink roses I think should work. This might be a little too much. Oh, but I might be able to work these in. Aren't they pretty? So we'll save the bright ones for summertime stuff, I think. I can try to work them in, but I'm not sure how much luck we'll have. But these super bright ones I'm going to move into a different pile, so I don't feel like I have to be obligated to try to work those in. And maybe I'll pull this one aside too. So we'll just move those back over to the desk, but these, the other part of the desk, but these ones we'll try to work in. All right, my friends, I think that the ones that are going to be the hardest to work with are the ones that we will start with. So these, because of their 6x6 shape, and then these two big ones because, you know. So that's what we're going to go ahead and get started with. I'm going to cut these in half, and then I'm going to go ahead and probably cut them in half. Maybe not the ones with the words. I'm not sure about those. But anyway, I'm going to start cutting these, and then these I'm just going to cut into tag shape. And then once we put other embellishments and layers on them, probably you won't even really see the words. I think it'll be fine. Anyway, that's the plan. All right, my friends, I got these cut down to 4x6s. These were the large sheets, and I think they look great. There's a few that have like words on them. Some of, like this, you wouldn't even be able to tell that that was a word. So there's just a few that have words on them, and if they're too difficult for me to work with, I will use them to back another tag just to make it thicker. You can see that this is not thick like cardstock. So, you know, it won't go to waste. I guess that's my point of sharing that with you, is none of them will go to waste. But that also might get covered or partially, and then I don't think it would be a big deal anyway. All right, so there's that. And then the 6x6s, okay, so I decided to do something a little different. I cut them this way with the words, kind of changing up how the words go. And like this one, it doesn't matter. This one, yeah, I mean, like there's one here. So it'll be interesting to see how I decide to move forward with those. And then these, of course, it's fine. It doesn't matter. So I wanted to show them to you before we got started. All right, so we're going to start with this one, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to round the corners. And what I'd like to do is try to use up these small ones that I cut so that they don't go to waste. So I figure, since they'll be I think a little more difficult to work with, I figure I'll go ahead and try to use those first. And actually, checking out the colors, I was thinking, why don't I try to put this one on here? And while I'm looking at that, that's so pretty. I don't want to cover the whole thing up. So let's go ahead and cut this down a little more. And maybe we even remove the rest of that word. It'll make this strip pretty thin, but let me just have a look at it. It could go over on the side. It could actually go over on the side and then be a pocket for something else. Let's do that. Let's just do that for fun. I'm going to go ahead and round these corners here so everything will match up nicely. And we'll go ahead and get our glue just around the edges here, not around the flat edge, because we don't want to seal up our pocket area. All right, so putting that down into place. That looks great. Now we've got this one. So let's take this and turn it into the tag that's going to slide into this pocket. And the way we'll do that is by simply removing the frame. And I'll go ahead and round the corners on this one. We will grab some ink and we'll ink the edges just to give it a little something extra. All right, my friends, I got this inked around the edges. I think that looks super nice. And we are going to slide that right in there. And I think that worked out really perfect for us. I love it. So I'm not going to do anything else to this one. If it's going to end up going into a journal, then I can always add lace down the edge or something like that. But I don't want to do that now because I don't know what kind of journal that it might be going into. Now, this could also easily hop into some Happy Mail, and then that person could embellish it, or I could embellish it up before I do that. So anyway, but here's our first one, and I think it's cute. All right, so I was thinking we've got this one, and we could do a similar thing because we have the word home here. So I think if I just cut this off a little bit more, shave these down just like I did before, then we could have another tag with a word. And then for the side, actually, so we could do the same thing as we did before, just take this off right here. So I do like to round the corners a lot of the time, so I'm going to go ahead and round the corners. And we're going to go ahead and cut this down. I hope everybody is doing good today. I appreciate you coming over to hang out with me. Okay, we're going to leave as much space as we can, so I just wanted to take off that little sliver. And like before, I'm going to go ahead and round the outer corners so that it fits on the tag very nicely. Oops! That was upside down. Don't want it upside down. There we go. All right, looking good. So this had the other writing on it, but you really can't tell. Like that doesn't look like I cut a word apart, to me anyway. So I think that works out great, and then we're not ending up wasting our paper. Okay, so now, like I had mentioned, we're going to go ahead and cut this off. Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can get in a little tighter on that piece there. Let's see. I'd like to not really see that word. I think I can cut it right there, and I think it'll be all right. Let's give it a whirl. Yeah, we are good. So it says home, and we are, now this can be switched out. If this ends up going in a journal and the journal is not about anything having to do with home, this little tag can be switched out super easy. So, you know, nothing to worry about there. But it might be a journal and somebody wants to use this tag to journal about something about their home. Maybe how it makes them feel, or, you know, whatever. There we go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pop that in here. like before, I'm not going to do any embellishing here. I'm just going to leave it the way it is for now, at least. Okay, so we took care of the 6x6 that had words on it. The rest of that should be really easy to work with. Let's have a look in here and see if there's anything that looks kind of difficult. This does have a letter, which I don't think is the end of the world, because sometimes we just put letters on our stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and pull this into the to-do pile. This has a TH, so let's go ahead and get that over here. This and this. Okay, so those will be the next ones. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and round all the corners. As soon as I'm done doing that, I will be right back. All right, my friends, so I'm going to go ahead and start with this one. And I was thinking if we brought this over, and we can try the two different colors. All right, my friends, I went ahead and grabbed this sheet and I cut off this, and so I figured what I'd do on these two is create a little belly band and then put a small tag under each belly band. All right, my friends, this is how these turned out, and I think they look absolutely beautiful. Really, really nice. So I'm super happy with these. The next one that I'm going to use up is this one. Again, a really big image on the front, not always the easiest to use up when we get these paper pads, but I'm going to cut it just like I did the other ones, 4-inch strips, and then cut those in half, so I'll have 4x6 tags, and this will make 6 of them. All right, my friends, I got them cut, and these two, I love the way they are just as they are. I forgot to round the corners on this one. But these I'm going to leave alone because there's writing space on the front, as you can see, and there's writing space on the back. So those I'm going to put in the done pile. And from the other paper, just so you know, I had these, and I think they're perfect just the way they are. So I'm leaving these plain as well. And I think I said pile, and I meant to say paper. So these will be the 4, I think there's 4, yeah. These will be the 4 that we will decorate. I think it's time to go ahead and cut these apart because maybe we can use these on the fronts of the larger tags to decorate them. All right, my friends, I've got this. It says Love Matters Most, and I'm thinking I'm going to put it right here. I will go ahead and round the corners and glue that down. Super simple, super quick, and nice and flat. You know, we got to have some flat tags that go into our journals because if we make them all super decorated up, they have a hard time fitting in the pockets. So I'm enjoying making these sort of very simple and flat. All right, next up is this one, and let me see what we have here. Well, this is nice. So we could do it like that, or let me turn it this way and see how that looks. No, I like it better like this. Let's try this one. Oh, that looks nice. I think that's better. Let me flip it over like that. Yeah, what do you think about that? I think that's good. I'm going to round the corners, and then I'm going to actually ink the edges up a little bit on this one. All right, my friends, so this one I was thinking about putting this here, and then I was thinking about putting this right in the center of it. I think that looks really pretty. And you know, we could do a little inking around the edges of this one just to give a little bit of definition. I'm going to show all of these to you at the end, but they're coming along really nicely. All right, my friends, so I had two 12x12s made with the small pieces for like belly bands and decor. Well, I decided I was going to cut, I had a small one that I had already used part of it, so I decided I'd go ahead and cut the rest of them and turn these into tags as well. So as I've been doing, I'm going to go ahead and round the corners all on these, whoops, and then we will get to decorating them. So I smashed that paper pad, and I wanted to show you what I got out of it. So these were just some little spares that'll make you know, perfect little tags for journals or even ATCs, whatever. And then we've got these. So I didn't do all of them on camera, but I wanted to share them with you. This is one of my favorite ones. I think that's so, so pretty. So I was able to use up the papers from the pad. I was able to use up some of my stiffened fabric, and I was able to get into my ephemera box and use up some of that, as you can see, which was great. Here's one of the ones that has some of the fabric on it. I think it looks really, really cool. Gives a little punch of color. Oh, a friend of mine sent me these really old stamps. This is a 2-cent stamp. And so I was able to use 3 of those. This was sent to me recently in Happy Mail. I love it, and it's perfect on here. I feel so satisfied that I was able to use up those papers and make pretty tags. Like I said before, I might share some of these. I might list some in my Etsy shop. Actually, that's not a bad idea because there's so many here. Here's one that has some of the fabric. I cut out the leaves and also a really old stamp. This one has a really old stamp, 3 cents, and then this is a belly band on here, but still lays perfectly flat. Great to pop in a journal. This one I used a little bit of that fabric and some scrap paper that I had. I thought the colors worked nicely together. Here's a piece of the fabric. It was nice that the big pages with all of the writing on them didn't go to waste. This one I just used a vellum saying that somebody sent to me in Happy Mail. And remember, these are the ones that I didn't really want to do anything to because I thought they were perfect just the way they were. This one came in the cut-aparts, and then this is a small one. This would be good inside of a journal, and that was part of the cut-aparts as well. So my friends, I hope you like them, and I appreciate you being here as always. Thanks for watching.